Good morning and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church. It's been fun to take you off to summer confirmation camp this week to let you know some of what our youth experience as we explore the 5 confirmation promises and what they mean for our lives. Hopefully, we are learning some of that too. Today, the promise is to serve all people, following the example of Jesus. Maybe you've never played the foot-stomping Bible study, but I love it. This is a great activity for kids. First, they get in their small groups, and then everyone takes off their shoes and socks. After a few days at camp, this might not be such a good idea. But then, with a magic marker, we write one letter on the bottom of each foot. When the game begins, we give them a clue and a Bible passage. They have to look it up, figure out the answer to the clue, and then arrange their feet to spell out the answer. An example, the passage might be Matthew 20:28, which says, "Just as the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve and give his life as a ransom for many." The clue is what the Son of Man came to do. It's wild and it's chaos as they scramble to be the first group to get their feet arranged so that they spell out the word serve. Then we give them some Bible stories of Jesus serving other people and ask their groups to role play the story. And you see, as they embody how Jesus served, they begin to envision how they can serve others too. Another thing we often did was to share a children's story. This was usually Thursday, and the kids are tired and more than happy to settle down for a story, and we would read the children's story called The Quilt Maker's Gift by Jeff Brumbo. It's an amazing story about an elderly woman in a far-off kingdom who made the most beautiful quilts and then gave them away to the poor and the homeless. The king of that land loved to get presents, and whenever it was his birthday, everyone in the land gave him the prettiest things. But the king wasn't happy, and he wanted more, so they decided to celebrate his birthday twice a year, so that he would get twice the presents. But still, the king wasn't happy. Then one day he learned about the old woman and her quilts. He demanded one, and the woman refused, intending to give her quilts to the poor instead. Eventually she told the king that she would make him one, but only when he had given all his other treasures away. "For each thing you give away, I'll add another piece. And when you give away your last thing, the quilt will be finished," she told him. The king couldn't imagine that, and he tried all sorts of ways to force the woman to make his quilt, but nothing worked. Finally, he relented and began giving his things away to the poor and helpless. Somehow he found that the more he gave away, the happier he became. And sure enough, when he gave away his last thing and got his quilt, he was the happiest he had ever been. But more importantly was the change that had come over him. In the end, he gave the woman the chair that had been his throne for her to sit in as she sewed all day making quilts. And then in the evening, he would take the quilts into the town and give them to those in need. It's a powerful story about the call to serve others. And one of the lessons the youth learn is something we all need to know. It's not about me. God calls us to live in love. God calls us to serve. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.